Hey, and welcome to the Power of J Skull. I'm your host, J Lock, and with me is full frontal face nudity.
Prepare your
Jason.
children.
There you go. Whoa, he's clean shaven.
It was an accident.
He looks 15 to 20 years younger.
I look like a 12-year-old with a pituitary disorder. Some people said I look like a young Johnny Cash, and I'm like, young Johnny Cash? I'm like 20 years older than Johnny Cash was at that point.
You're going for the youthful look, which is a great thing, because this show is about recapturing and looking back at our youth, isn't it?
Indeed it is, yes.
Through He-Man and the Master of the Universe. And this week, last week, you picked a great thing for us to watch, because you are the keeper of where you will guide us through this journey. And
I am the keeper of the secrets of Grayskull.
Yes.
Actually, I just thought let's look at all the pilot episodes first, but yeah.
Well, it's a good choice to out of the way, and there's lots to say about it being a pilot episode too. How well I think they did a great job of that. But it's the Secret of the Sword.
Yes, and it was released as a feature film too.
Exactly.
I went to go see it in theaters.
That's crazy. I did not. I remember as a child being very anti this whole concept, rubbing up against the wrong way of having a She-Ra. Don't know about you.
It didn't bother me. I don't know. I had that thought that if there was a guy hero who was very popular, eventually there would be a girl who would come along, and like you had Superman and then Supergirl, you had Hulk and then you had She-Hulk. So of course you have He-Man, and I always thought that the female version would be called She-Woman, but they went with She-Ra, which I think in retrospect was probably a good choice.
Yes. Do you think they would give them their names now? I don't want to be controversial because, they kind of sound like pronouns at this point, don't they? I mean, He-Man.
we could have a they them, I guess. I don't know. That would be, I'm all for inclusion.
You know what?
They actually do have a non-binary character in the She-Ra spinoff.
Awesome.
Reboot, yes. And probably one of my favorite characters of that show, too.
Awesome.
Because they are so delightfully evil.
Well, I was just about to say, what a great concept. Like, why not do that? It's about era of representation. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And I just love, like, this, I don't want to get too much into it, but this character, Double Trouble, is just magnificently, just deliciously neutral evil. And just everything they say is just so quotable. So I can't wait for you to meet them.
Okay. I'll look forward to that. So let's have a look at this one. Now, this is the synopsis. I don't write these synopses, believe it or not. I'm too lazy for that. I get them from the internet and copy and paste.
I don't believe that.
So let's have a look at the synopsis for The Secret of the Sword. Here we go. He-Man, Master of the Universe, has to find a person who will carry a magic sword in the other dimensional world of Etheria. He has to find She-Ra, Princess of Power. Together they fight villains and save a winged horse.
They don't do that. That never happened. Who writes these things?
I have no idea. But I was delighted. It actually came up as a Google search.
They save a winged horse.
Well,
technically they create the winged horse and then they get the winged horse killed.
Yeah.
And then they save it. Yeah,
then they save it. So, but that is the worst synopsis of it.
That really is. I don't know. If you wrote that, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's all I'm saying.
You should be.
Comments. You just write them yourself then, Jason. Fine, I will.
Quite a complicated plot, though. It
is. And this plot does go all over the place if you ever watch the feature film cut. It's just, it's like a roller coaster that keeps going up and down and up and down and up and down.
Well, that's what I watched this week, was the theatrical version of it. So, which, as we know, was actually the first 5 episodes of the series, I believe.
They were sneaky.
Which was released after, so...
They were sneaky.
At this period in time, I mean, He-Man is a powerhouse. 2-3 years in being on television.
Yeah.
And so releasing of this is, I can see why they went theatrical with this. And as a theatrical animated film, it's over the place, but it works.
And I also looked this up because I was kind of curious, because I know that like the G.I. Joe movie bombed, and I think Transformers bombed too. So I was like, well, how badly did this one do? The Secret of the Sword made 3 times its budget back.
It did.
It
Cost
did. It
$2
was
million.
budget cost $2 million to make, and it ended up making $6 million at the box office. So, good on you, He-Man. You
Yeah.
deserve
And
that money, even if you did put it on TV not long afterwards, and made me wonder why I went to go see it in theaters in the first place.
Exactly, but nevertheless, it was the era, wasn't it? Where
It
you
was.
mentioned it. They were releasing a lot of animated stuff.
every big cartoon had a movie at one point. I remember my sister wanted to go see the Rainbow Bright movie,
Yes,
and
I
my
remember
little
that
brother
record.
wanted to go see the Care Bears movie,
Yes,
and I
Care Bear
wanted to go
movie
see
was
the
huge.
Secret of the Sword.
Yeah, yeah. Now, for me, it was definitely Transformers. I don't remember it being a bomb as much, but I do believe people's
I could be
memory of
wrong.
that film that it was a lot bigger than it was. I just remember it being, oh, it's another animated film, and being annoyed at it. But that's a whole other franchise.
Now, why would the Transformers movie upset small children?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
exactly.
having a flashback.
Yeah, exactly. This went to places where it could have upset young kids. This movie.
They did not really push the envelope too much.
Except for the horse.
Except for the horse.
Which felt very unnecessary, mind you, at that point in time.
Well, that whole 5th episode, the whole last part of the movie was all
And that's
about
what you
showing
get,
off
yeah.
She-Ra's powers. It's like, the first episode was going to Etheria, second episode was about meeting Adora, third episode was
Yeah.
about, oh, here's She-Ra, fourth episode was beating Hordak, and then fifth episode,
Yes.
let's go fight Skeletor so you can see what She-Ra can do.
Yes.
This
Yes,
is the
that's
toy
what it was.
commercial part. But
believe it
I
or
don't
not,
think that
like-
she did the. I don't think she did the trick where she changed her sword into something. Because if you remember, she could say like sword to shield, and her sword would transform into a shield
Yeah, she didn't
or
do
a
any
rope.
of that.
No, she didn't. So
No. It was
little surprise for
early on.
people who want to watch it on TV.
Yeah. And I think that kind of set that tone with this movie too, where, like you said, we discover that, oh, she's got this power. Now she's got this power. Oh, and she can do this.
She can
I mean,
talk
this-
to animals.
She can, yeah. talk
She's
to
super
animals.
strong.
She can-
She's got healing
she's got
touch.
healing
She's
power.
Rey Skywalker.
She isn't a Mary Sue. You probably couldn't, they...
I don't think Rey was a Mary Sue either. I'm just saying.
yeah.
She-Ra,
Well, I
She-Ra is
thought
Rey
that'd be-
Skywalker. That's all. Okay. Magical
Um,
sword. Can
Magical
heal with the
sword.
touch.
Yes.
She's Rey Skywalker. That's it.
Yeah. She's pretty damn good at what she does. But what I do
Would
love
that make
about
Kylo
this,
Ren
overall,
Hordak?
what I do like about it is they don't introduce her as a good guy. I
They
like the fact
don't.
that They introduce her with somebody who has flaws.
Yes.
She's basically in a cult. She's been brainwashed.
Yeah.
Hypnotized technically, but brainwashed. That's the analogy here. And I really like that. I really like that idea of it.
I did too, and I wish that they would have done more with it on the TV show.
Yeah.
But, the fact that you get a hero with kind of a dark origin is, I was, the Princess of Power, I was expecting like flowers and, dandelions and unicorns, which I kind of got the unicorn, but, you first meet her and she's like, let's kill all the villagers! and
Let's take them down. I mean, this is one scene from the film where that's the rebellion having an attack.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Look at
And she
that
comes
size of
over
that gun, too.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit.
It's just
a bit big,
crazy.
It's a bit too much, actually. But, there you go.
My desk is
I
super
like
creaky.
the introduction of her. I really like seeing Hordak again. Like, I forgot how great a villain he was.
Yes. The only thing that bothered me was his shape-shifting, where he would turn himself into a missile or something like that. Even as a
that's-
kid, I thought that was
Come on, pretty
the
good. Or
dumbest
drill.
thing.
Oh, that's-
Oh my god, look at that!
Look at that.
He's so happy to be a drill.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing.
Look at me, Morty! I'm a drill, Morty!
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm just trying to find it. I've got the picture of the other one where he turns into a rocket. And I remember watching it going, A, I don't remember he could do that, and B, that seemed unnecessarily hilarious.
He would always do
And
this
then-
move where he'd throw his hands up and then he'd put them at his sides like this
Yeah,
before
and
he
go boom.
transformed. And I just, it almost looked like he was throwing a temper tantrum, and then all of a sudden, boom! I'm a rocket, Morty. Oh my god!
Yeah, but it didn't remind me how sometimes I'd be confused as a kid, because he drives around in a spaceship that's got his face at the front of it.
I know.
Which could indicate that could be him. You don't know. So.
He's the Elon Musk of Etheria. I mean, come on. You think
Everything's
Elon Musk
electric.
does this and turns into a Tesla?
Yeah, that's it. He's probably got those giant white battery things he puts on houses. And
Oh, I'm sure he does.
But we start off this film, which I like, with basically a flashback scene which pays off again later. We'll
Yes.
reuse it, but it sets it up with the dream, you know. And yeah, basically straight away, look, hey, I'm nabbing kids in my dream.
Hey,
Which pretty-
it's an interesting observation because I don't know, growing up I always thought that He-Man and Skeletor were pretty close in age, but if Adam is like 20, that would make Skeletor like 40 or 50, maybe even older than that. I mean, at least a
older.
generation older. Same thing with
We
Hordak.
don't know how long the age. She could be hundreds of years old.
It could be. I don't know.
You know, we do find out, obviously, in episode 4, which is part 4 of the film, which I think is one of the stronger bits of them jumping all over the place. The history of Skeletor. We get some mythology built from this. We get to find out that they once worked together.
Does the sorcerer's actions bother you? Because it
What?
bothers me. Because number one, she knows that He-Man's got a sister. She sends Adam to Etheria to go give the sword. She knows who he's supposed to give the sword to, never tells him, and sets him up for the shock of his life. And then later you find out that she erased everybody's memories of Adora.
Yeah, and never
It's
pulled
like-
up on any of that.
Yeah,
Never
you just kind of like, that's super unethical.
I mean, yeah, a bit of heads up to say, hey, look, when you get over there, she's been kind of brainwashed by a cult. So she ain't going to be like the most obvious person. You're going to have a chat to her, let her know what the deal is, and here we go. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been a lot helpful. But yeah, he goes over there and he comes across her, and mate, she's pretty nasty.
Yeah. Oh, hi. Bam.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong image I wanted to show.
It's okay.
But,
Shadow Weaver
yeah.
and Catcher are cool. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the kind of like she has a bad dream, wakes this dude up. I'm sure he was he was asleep at the time. Was he awake?
I don't
I
remember.
think he was asleep. They were asleep.
I'm just looking at
Drags his
the
butt out of bed, drags him all the way to Castle Grayskull, and it's like, hey, take this, go through there. Yeah, it did seem kind
Yeah.
of a
Where am I going? Just go, okay.
It just goes. Yeah.
Why have I got two swords? Just go. I gotta
who
say, I
was
know
lacking-
I mentioned something about it beforehand before we went live, but the shadow work in this collection of episodes is outstanding. Really gives the characters a big 3D look,
Yeah, I'll
and
go for
it's
some of the images
it's
and
theatrical.
talk about it. Yeah. There definitely is some really good kind of they've stepped it up. There's no question.
Yeah,
If you look at what we watched last week into some of the work they did for this, it's wonderful. Like just the colorization and more, I don't know, just a bit more definitive features. I thought it was great. Yeah,
they did pull out all the
they
stops
really
with this
stepped it up.
movie.
She
yeah.
got the upgrade, no doubt. you
Oh,
know.
absolutely.
Even her transformation, which I'll
Oh,
play
isn't
right
that
now
great?
because this is one of my favorite bits of the movie. This is the only movie clip I have as such of it, but I just love the bit when they both transformed at the same time.
Power of Grayskull.
For the honor of Grayskull! I am She-Ra!
Magic moment, I reckon.
I went nuts
What?
as a kid during that. I was
Yeah,
like, oh my
that
gosh,
is
double
magic.
transformation!
And they actually edited together. Like, well,
Yeah,
really
they
worked.
did. They really did. And
Yeah.
I gotta say something. It may be He-Man, Master of the Universe blasphemy. She-Ra's transformation is superior to He-Man's. And
I don't think they can be argued
No.
if you look at them.
First of all, very inspired by Sailor Moon.
yeah.
It is. But the thing about She-Ra's transformation that I always loved, because you know that stuff was about to go down, is whenever that music kicked in, that dum 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 dum. It was like the precursor, and you're like, oh, here it comes, here it comes.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she just pulled that sword out and just da 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 da. And
Yeah.
I just loved that so much as a kid. And watching this again, it makes you excited. Just the
It also-
music and everything is so great.
And her, you've got to, because you're mentioning her transformation, character of She-Ra, more so than Adora. I mean, Adora's going for a journey. She's fine, lovely, seems all good, but especially She-Ra, how strong she is as a female character, how measured she is. She, very maternal, but at the same time can kick ass.
Absolutely.
I just think they did a wonderful job back then, creating such a strong, positive female character. More so that I think more effective than He-Man and Adam.
Absolutely.
As somebody you can look up to.
Yes, I think that She-Ra's characterization was phenomenally
Yeah.
written. And J. Michael Straczynski was on the writing staff for this, so you can kind of see his fingerprints all over the writing.
Yeah.
There's actually a series of notes. I can't remember where I've seen them, but I read them a long time ago, where JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, where he had written like notes about the episodes, and it's just fun seeing how much thought were going into these episodes, because you just think, well, this is just a toy commercial, a TV show toy commercial. No, they cared about what went into this show, and it really shows.
And it's the 80s, mate. They could have easily over-sexualized this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm so glad that they didn't. I'm so glad that... Because when she comes on screen, when She-Ra's on screen, like, to be frank, shit's going to get done. You know what I mean? And she doesn't have to punch her way out of a problem. That's what I liked about it. And I love He-Man's punch. I mean, that iconic, pullback.
Yeah.
Is fantastic, and part of his character. But I think there were several times in She-Ra throughout this film where she showed she was able to solve the problem. Still with her sword and that, but not literally beating the crap out of everyone.
Yes.
Like
yes,
she shot the thing at the top, and the helmet fell on Skeletor, and he fell down. That's
I love that. You missed. Wait.
You missed.
Just wait, bone bag.
Yeah, now as a kid, you kind of mentioned before you were kind of disappointed in the lack of Skeletor in this film when you first saw it.
I was, because to me, He-Man was the Skeletor show.
Yeah, looking back at it now, and the way he used him in this film, because I'm going to keep referring to it as a movie, what did you think?
How he was used in this film?
Yeah, I think, because to me, what I'm basically leading at is I thought he was used well. I thought him coming back later on worked really well, and it was like Return of the King, this movie. There was so many different endings, it wasn't funny, because it was all kind of put together. But
I liked the way that Skeletor was used in this movie, because, well, we really didn't know anything about Skeletor's backstory. We didn't know where he came from, and then all of a sudden, wait a second, Skeletor had a boss? And that boss was Hordak, and Skeletor used to be Hordak's minion, and then Skeletor betrayed him, and just like, wow, there's a whole backstory to this dude we've never seen before. And that was something I was absolutely hungry for. I wanted to see more of, where Skeletor came from. Unfortunately, we had to wait until the 2000 reboot to see any kind of backstory on Skeletor, and we got a lot of it, and I think he became a richer character because of that.
oh, great. Well, I look forward to that. But the best part you missed out is that Skeletor. I found myself rooting and cheering for Skeletor in this movie because he screws over Hodor.
Oh, he does. Hodor.
Yeah. Hodor. I keep calling him
Hodor.
Hodor. Get to the door. Get to the door.
Oh, no, you just made me sad.
No, but I love that. He screwed him over. It was great. Like I really kind of like that too. So, no, I think what was weird is I felt where it doesn't work as a film is that it kept going back to help the rebellion out. I think they did that 3 times.
It was very episodic, yes.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, we better go back and help the rebels out of a situation here and there and all that. So
now we got to go save the queen. Hey, you want to go visit Eternia? Sure. Oh no, Hordak is here.
Yeah. Now, what about Hordak's his menagerie of villains?
Oh, I
Gives me
loved
that.
the Horde so much.
I love that they were all uniform, dude. Straight
I
off the bat,
know.
I love the fact they are all branded with the insignia, are part of a structure.
Yes, I don't know. I was obsessed with Grizzlor growing up. I had the Grizzlor figure, and then Grizzlor shows up, and I'm just like, yeah, there's my boy. I loved Mantenna, even though he's like
Yeah.
he's the dumbest character. He's basically the Beast Man of the Horde. But one thing I do like about the Horde is that they are more villains than they are comic relief, because He-Man's villain rogues gallery kind of just became a bunch of buffoons. She-Ra's rogue gallery, for the most part, were just, hey, we're bad guys. We're going to mess you up. We're going, look at, I've got a tail. I'm going to sting you with it. Look, I'm going to suck all the energy out of your head. They were stronger villains, maybe not as memorable, but they were definitely, not to be trifled with.
And
I've actually got Grizzlor right over there. There he is.
Yeah, there he is. I can just make him out. I got to say, though, I think it does come down to structure. The fact that he's like, yeah, give us a look.
He was always my favorite, and I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he's clearly one of the smarter ones, because he was
Yes.
the one using the console. He's the one operating. Yeah, which is a great reminder of Etheria Eternia. The whole concept of Master Universe is the mix of this gladiator, kind of barbarian look with modern technology. I always found it fascinating. I mean, they got these wearing bones around their neck and all that. There's this highly technological giant weapon.
I'm going to go to battle holding this giant mace.
That's right. Yeah. Like, I'm
Well,
just gonna
one mace, one ray gun.
But no, yes, fantastic villains. I thought I remember as a kid me not caring. Like, as soon as I saw when I saw it as a kid, I loved She-Ra. I didn't go all like meh. And I remember the reason I got straight into She-Ra was because of the villains. Because I was going to the toy stores, I was going, he looks amazing. I gotta have him. Mum, can I have him? No, you can't. No, come on, Mum, please. Okay, as long as you shut up. Yeah. So, yeah.
I know
But no,
originally Catra was supposed to be the main antagonist for She-Ra, because Hordak and the Horde were introduced to be villains in the He-Man line.
Yeah.
And then I guess they were like, well, we don't really have room for him on the He-Man show. Let's pick him up and put him over here. And, I think that worked out very well.
Yes.
Because whenever I saw the Horde on TV, I was like, ooh, it's those guys.
Yes.
Who's that girl?
Oh, look, we've got someone saying hello. It's our other compadre, Joe. Hey, fellas.
Hey, fella. How are you?
It's Captain Joe Dove.
Yes, we know. Thank you.
Hey, we kind of got that. We figured that out with your name there. It's right there. Yeah, no, so back to the show.
It's good he's here. Yeah, I'm always happy
He's
to have him
here.
here.
Thank you for watching.
We didn't say anything bad about him, did we?
No, I don't think so. Not
Okay.
before we went live, that is.
All right, yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said before, Return of the King had 17 different endings because it was an episodic thing put together. The last episode, where we get the fact that, which is this scene, this infamous scene, I think, in the most controversial scene in the movie, wasn't even necessary. And
They
I go,
were showing off
"No,
their
it
powers,
didn't."
that's all.
Yeah, it was just like,
I remember being shocked though, because back then on
It was
TV you
disturbing.
couldn't say kill, you couldn't say death, you couldn't say died.
Yeah.
You always had to say he's gone, or you don't mean yes. They would do stuff like that, and then all of a sudden she's like, Swiftwind's dying. We're like, oh dang.
yeah.
And then Brave Star turned around and killed a kid the next year. That's how quickly things went downhill.
It's a really good setup, though. I mean, as really early on, I kind of said, it's an excellent, I think, introduction to a character. Because we'd seen the opposite of that last week, where we just saw them throwing a episode out to introduce He-Man and not really introducing him, just putting that, and that works in its own way. But to have the backstory of She-Ra, who has basically been brainwashed, discovers what is happening to her community, challenges them and takes this big leap of faith, joining the rebellion. I thought it was, if they would ever decided to redo it, and we lived in a world we do get to see a movie one day, which I am hopeful we do. I think there are elements there in this film that you would take on board if you were making a live action.
Absolutely. I would love to see. I would love to see a She-Ra origin where she's not under a spell, where she actually thought she was on the right side, and then it turned out, oh no, I'm the baddie. I've made a mistake. I need to redeem myself.
Yeah,
and that's her driving force. I know kids' cartoons in the 80s were not that complicated, but that was kind of what I, in my headcanon, thought was that she wanted to, make good on all the harm that she had inadvertently done in all of her life.
Yeah, I agree. And, as adults, I'm watching it and going, yeah, like that, the spell's there just to kind of like help the kids process it. But really, this is a story about being brainwashed.
Yes.
Cult, and being flawed as an individual, and then finding your strength by taking, those first steps into a new world and all that classic kind of mythology stuff. And I think they did a really great job with this character. And the fact that I haven't done the research, but I do believe in the end. She-Ra in the subsequent years started out selling, outrating everything He-Man. She was it.
Yeah, she did really, really well for herself. I think she did better for herself than Mattel was really expecting her to.
Well, I think she benefited from all the lessons learned from the other 67 episodes or whatever, how many they did for He-Man by this point. So that writing team, and you got core people that came across from He-Man, now I think really got a good handle on how to deal with a character and kind of move it forward. So, yeah. I cannot remember how the show ended. Was there ever a finale?
I don't think that there was a definite finale to it.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a definite finale to He-Man either.
No.
There was an episode that everybody who loves the show says is the ending, even though it wasn't the last episode, and that's The Problem with Power, which is probably the best episode they've ever done. Yeah. But yeah, no definitive endings. They just didn't do that kind of thing back then. They just did it until they didn't. And then it's like, sorry kids, you were expecting to see He-Man, but he's not on right now. Enjoy the Disney afternoon. Yeah. What are these dancing bear things?
Yes. And you did get that, didn't you? After, especially in this era, all of a sudden it was the era of My Little Pony and Care Bears, and everything that was cute and fluffy dominated, didn't it?
Yes, it really did.
It was kind of like...
Then you had all those copycats like the Wuzzles and the Get Along Gang, and oh my god, what a horrible time to be alive.
Yeah, the Wish versions of everything. Yeah. Well, that'll kind of wrap it up. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about this episode before we wrap
just
up?
Just a couple of things. Number one, well, I'm not even going to number them because I ramble a lot, and who can keep count. I loved that Battle Cat had so much to do in this episode.
Oh, yes.
He was basically a main character for like 1 or 2 episodes, and I love that. And the voice actor, I don't know who was the voice actor, but he just seemed like he was having so much fun. Like, yes, I can actually do things now.
Yeah. He took on a big leadership role.
Yes, he did, and I love that because I don't know, Cringer got to say a lot, but Battle Cat normally didn't, and I just liked that Battle Cat was his own person here, and that he got to lead and do all that stuff. I liked that the episode started out with Adam going to Etheria and not He-Man, and we got to see Adam actually handle himself really well.
Oh yes, in the barroom fight.
Yes, and he's not getting his butt kicked. He's taken all those lessons that he's learned from Teela, and he's gone with it. Yeah. I like what you said about the Horde being a cult, because they really are. I mean, there are some episodes, I believe, where, normal everyday people is talking about how good the Horde is to them. And then there's that big scene where they're literally trying to drain away He-Man's willpower. And, it's kind of yeah, that's kind of a
already feeble villager. Hey, sucked in, and it goes up 1 bar.
I can't believe that elderly villager didn't have enough willpower to power my force field thingy.
Yeah,
really, you couldn't believe that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very strong start to a series that, in my opinion, does not get a lot of love, because a lot of people remember She-Ra as the thing that took He-Man's place, but in many ways, I think She-Ra, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, I think that She-Ra was actually a stronger television show. I think the characterizations were stronger. I think the stakes were higher. I think flipping it over from where, you had He-Man who was just battling the forces of evil to She-Ra who was literally protecting the forces of evil from not protecting the forces of evil, protecting the few remaining, free people on this planet from this gigantic, empire that's trying to kill them all the time. To me, that just says that this was a stakes, and I was more deeply engrossed in it. And I think that it was a great show.
Yeah, I think it gives her a more noble journey. And also, I think She-Ra is an evolution of Masters of the Universe.
Yes.
That's what this shows. This is an evolution. I don't think it replaces anything. This just, it shows that they were getting better and better with what they were doing.
Given that given that Princess of Power went on the air and He-Man went off, it did kind of replace it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And one other thing I dig about this show, it's very derivative in many ways. It kind of rips off other things. We were talking about how, Broom and Madame Raz look like, Disney characters they just lifted and put in there.
Yeah.
She-Ra takes a lot from Star Wars. The evil empire, the rebellion. But I dig that. I think it's really great.
I think it's more inspired by Joseph Campbell, that hero mythology thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I reckon they've sourced from, what Star Wars.
I'm sure.
It's because it's just the themes of who she is. She's a noble character. She's gone on a journey. She's had to, be betrayed by people close to her. All that, classic mythology stuff. That's why it works well, I think. I think He-Man wasn't there yet. It had the potential as a character to be there. But, there's some Game of Thrones level kind of themes going on in this.
There really is. Just brainwashing and double-crossing. And of course, that memeable Skeletor moment whenever he goes, "What?"
Yeah.
I don't know why that became such a meme, but every time I see it, I'm like Leonardo DiCaprio just...
I mean,
what?
That sums him up perfectly, though. That's why I reckon the meme's so great. It's just, and the way you did it then, too, perfect.
Alan Oppenheimer is just amazing.
Oh, wasn't he such,
Yes.
When did he pass?
He's still around. He's still around.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding. He's still around. He actually voiced Mossman in Masters of the Universe Revelations.
Oh, no joke.
He
Fantastic.
did. He did. He returned.
That makes me happy.
Me too. I'm so happy he's still with us, and I hope he's with us in good health for many, many more years because he's amazing.
I don't know why. I feel terrible now thinking he's gone, but I, for some reason, thought, he passed a few years ago. But.
He actually returned to voice I don't remember who made it, but it must have had some kind of official backing because they did a unofficial 67th version, 67th episode of He-Man called "The Terror of the Five." The Legend of the Five Terrors or something like that. And he returned. He was the only original voice actor returned to voice Skeletor.
Yeah.
Now, this was about 10 years ago, and I hate to say this, his voice had aged quite a bit, so he didn't really sound like Skeletor, but he sounded like a kind old man instead. But, you gotta admire the fact that he loved the character so much that he returned to voice him, 30 years later.
Yeah.
I just loved that.
Yeah.
And it was an all Skeletor episode too. No He-Man, no nobody.
There are a lot of iconic villains that you can look at and go, yes, he's iconic. But there are not that many iconic villains. Maybe Darth Vader's one of them, where you instantly hear the first syllable and you know who it is. You don't even have to see an image.
Yep.
As soon as you hear it, you know exactly that's Skeletor.
Oh, absolutely.
And that just goes to his work, isn't it? I mean, just fascinating. I would have liked more Skeletor in this, but I'm sure coming up in the next few episodes of stuff, everything we'll be watching the show, there's lots of Skeletor to be had. I'm very fascinated because, as we discussed, I haven't seen a lot of the new stuff, so I'm so curious to see how they define Skeletor now. What's the iteration of Skeletor moving forward?
Well,
because the bar is set high.
Before we get to Skeletor's origin story in He-Man 2000, there's one place we have to stop first.
Okay.
That's the New Adventures of He-Man.
Right.
And 1989, I believe, right? I have never seen this series. I didn't even know this series existed until the late 90s, and I saw something about it online. I was like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
I have not heard good things. I've heard that it's actually fairly atrocious. It only lasted one season, but if we're hitting all the pilot episodes, what do you say we do that one next?
I think there it is, guys. That's what we're doing next week.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, what was the name of this series? It was The New Adventures.
The New Adventures of He-Man.
Okay, I'm just going to look it up and I'll get the name.
I can tell you right now, there's a huge difference in the way the characters look.
Right. Okay, so they completely redesigned.
They unnecessarily redesigned them.
Okay. Oh yes, I do remember this now. I remember seeing. I never remember
I've
watching,
never seen it,
but I remember seeing adverts for this.
Yeah, never seen it. I saw the picture with Skeletor with a face and eyeballs, and I'm just like, no.
Wow.
Nope, that's too far. I can't abide Skeletor with a face. He-Man with a ponytail, that's fine. Skeletor with a face, no.
Well, we're going there next week now to the pilot episode, which is called A New Beginning.
Mm.
The New Adventures of He-Man, which aired back in September 1st, 1990. So we're only going to be 32 years late to the day watching it. Well, to the month watching it.
Well, better late than never, or better never than late, depending on how bad the episode is.
Well,
I'm going to give it a fair
find
shake,
out.
though. I'm going to give it a fair shake.
Here's interesting, though. Part 1 of 5.
Oh, no.
So
It's another
the first
movie.
5 episodes, yeah. So does that give you a sense that they were going to do this when they were initially started? It was like, right, we'll do the same thing. We'll write 5 episodes, put it up as a movie, and away we go. We won't be watching the first 5 episodes. We'll watch the first episode.
We'll see if the first episode's
We'll
any
make a
good.
deal. I say we'll make a deal. If we come back next week and we go, hey man, I don't know what drugs people are on, but A New Beginning rocks, we will then commit to watching the other 4.
Okay.
But at this point, we'll just watch the first one and we'll see how we go.
All right, that sounds fair.
Absolutely. Well, until then, I reckon that'll be it. Now, full frontal face nudity, Jason. How do people find you?
You can find me on TikTok at Jason Roy Gaston, or you can find me on the internet at jasonroygaston.com. And if you're on OnlyFans, I'm not. What's wrong with you?
You can find me
But I could be.
here on the Spectrum Sanctorum channel, where I do a few shows, also over at the Pop Culture Spread channel as well, where I do a bunch of shows. And you can find me on TikTok stalking people and not really adding a lot at CQ Jason. Until then, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on. Can you do the title for us in your best He-Man epic voice, Jason?
By the power of J Skull! Go, go, go.